Right then, thank you to everybody for joining us on this next presentation for Work Smarter Wednesday. We'll kick things off as it's 12 o'clock now. So today's session is focused on data management. Symmetry have recently signed exclusive partnership agreements with both MATLAB and Applied Software to sell some of their applications in order to help move data. So whether that's archiving, whether that's migrating from your current CDE to a new CDE, whether that's synchronizing and sharing data on a regular basis with other hubs or with other products. These applications really are looking to build on and expand the BIM 360 or the Autodesk Construction Cloud offering and share that data and out into other areas of the organization. And make it more accessible, make it easier to use, and make it more valuable to the whole of your business. So Steve Rudger will be going through most of the new tools and describing where they fit and how they can be used for maximum benefit. But I'll give a quick overview and introduction to Symmetry Construction before we hand over to Steve. So as I said, Symmetry will be looking at where and how moving this data, so through archiving, through synchronizing, or through migration, can really help your business. We'll then pop into some demonstrations in terms of showing a little bit of the product at work and also showing some of the benefits that the products can bring, you know, the return on investment and why it's valuable to synchronize and move this data around. And then we'll go into a Q&A session where you can ask any questions you want about the product shown, about what Symmetry offer and how we can help your business with the management of your data associated with all your construction projects. So quickly into an overview of Symmetry as a business. Some of you have seen these slides before, but it's always good just to run through what we are, who we are, and how we're looking to help. So we support businesses right the way through the construction life cycle. So that's from the initial end client specification. We want to build a building right the way through the design phase, through the construction of that building, and then back through to that end client again. And that's also supported now more and more by manufacturers and the involvement they have in the construction process, especially with things like design and build, modular build, all that kind of stuff. The manufacturing role is getting ever expanding. We do that in a number of ways. So we are a big provider of software. We do provide a number of solutions, but more and more we're adding value to those solutions. So we provide training and support so that those solutions can be properly adopted. We provide consultations so we understand where you are as a business and where you're trying to get to. And then we have a number of other solutions that underpin that. So whether that be an hardware, IT software, document management solutions, or we put people in place to actually help with the delivery of these projects. So back at the start of the year, we formed a dedicated construction team really to focus on selling software into this space. We did that by bringing together quite a number of people from within our existing organization. We've got guys who have served on site. So all of our consultants have actually served on site for the likes of Balfour Beatty, Galliford Try, Morgan Sindall, actually delivering projects. So it's not just theory, we actually understand what you're trying to achieve, and these guys will help you do it. Add to that a very experienced sales team who have been selling these types of solutions for, I think, 50 plus years between them. And we've got quite a powerful team who can help you move from where you are to where you need to be. And coming back to that focus, we really are focused on three key areas. So the implementation and adoption of software is the first piece. You know, you end up spending a lot of money on software and putting these solutions in place. What we want to do is make sure that you get value back from that investment, and proper implementation and proper adoption will allow you guys to do that. We have project support services. So quite a lot of people won't have a digital team, won't have a BIM management team, and actually come to us to fulfill those roles as, you know, digital transformation manager, project manager, BIM support, BIM manager for the job, project delivery information manager, whatever it might be. We can put people in place who can actually work as consultants, shoulder to shoulder with your delivery teams, and make sure the technology is adopted in a way that makes your projects run more efficiently. And then we've got the sort of overarching digital transformation piece where more and more of our clients have a end goal in mind or want to work on an end goal, whether that be the adoption of a digital twin, whether that be transforming from a manual process to fully automated solutions. And we can help tease out, if you what will be best for your business, and then ensure that we deliver the technology and the services in order to help you move from where you are to where you want to be. And at the heart of that is a project. So what we want to understand first is what you're building, what you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to do in that building. Is it all about sustainability? Is it all about sensors and you know, a very technological build, or is it about being BIM compliant because that's what your clients need you to be? So we will always try and establish what you're trying to achieve rather than just selling you some software, and then we can tailor the solutions to meet your needs. We do that in a number of ways. So we are a big partner of Autodesk. That is a big part of our business. The construction business is very focused on the Construction Cloud suite of products. So that's Autodesk Build, Autodesk Docs, Autodesk Takeoff, and Autodesk Collaborate. Those solutions do make a big part of what we sell, but we also partner with a number of other businesses to add value and make sure that our construction customers are best served. So we've got the likes of Applied Software and MATLAB partnerships that we've brought into place in order to increase the value. You know, a BIM 360 CDE is all very well and good, but if you haven't got the ability to pull the data in from another CDE, or you haven't got the ability to push the data out to Power BI or push it into SharePoint or archive that data so it could be saved from a later date if you need to do any analysis on it, then the value is diminished. So what we've looked to do is bring together products that will add additional value again. And we have our own products as well. So we have a development team who have built Naviate, which is a solution which sits on top of Revit essentially and makes the Revit application more efficient, makes the processes quicker. Civilia does the same on the Inventor side. And then we have CT Flexmon, which is an IT-based product which allows you to manage your licenses and deploy software builds more effectively. And then I'm going to pass over to Steve, where he's going to give us some demonstrations of the products and tell us where they're best placed to help you guys. So can pass over to Steve. That'd be great.
Yeah, thanks, Rich.
Right.
Okay. So data management. Yeah, there's lots we can discuss about data management, but obviously what we're looking at today is, you know, moving it across different platforms, getting it out of existing platforms and keeping that data alive. As we know, the information that we're providing on projects today is becoming more and more detailed. You know, 5 years ago, the focus was just on a document, was just on a drawing, a file, things like that. But now we're getting into digital checklists. We're getting into 360 photographs. We're getting into digital issues and things like that. And all this data is being stored in common data environments, in document management systems. But we've got to start looking at how we manage this data and what happens towards end of projects. How do we share data between clients and the project teams and all that good stuff? So it's really looking at this information, because as I say, you know, guys out on site are collating far more digital data now than traditionally on paper forms and things of that nature. If you look at how we're capturing things on site, with, like say, photographic imagery, 360 images, we've just partnered with someone called Oculo who do 360 imagery capture, which will actually track the progress of your project and things like that. So all this data is growing and growing and growing, but we have to manage it. We have to look at where it's going to live for that lifetime. And you know, we get asked these questions now and again. You know, we ask people, do you need to archive that information? Does it need to be stored somewhere? Most of the data needs to be stored for 10 years going forward. Do you want a copy of that data? Are you working in a client's environment that you want a copy of it just for your legal reasons, things of that nature? So you might want to copy the data. Do you need a local or a server copy of the CDE? Yeah, it might be the CDE is only implemented for the duration of the project. Do you actually want to keep a local copy within your environment and your servers? Do you need to share that data with a client? You might be the contractor, you're using your CDE system. Do you want to be able to share data with a client who may not even have a CDE system? We've got to look at all these different scenarios as we go through this. As a client, do you want a copy of the project CDE? So that might be a question coming back from the client saying, yeah, we need a copy of everything. We don't want to send over that USB stick or drive or wherever we do, which is just a data dump. We need it structured as we pass this over. It may be a fact that you're looking to change your CDE. You may have fell out with a vendor, you may want to change, you may have seen new applications on the market that you're saying, well, actually, if we change, we're going to get these new advantages with new technology. So you want to migrate information from an existing CDE to there, or are you considering like something like BIM 360 or ACC? How do we get data that we've got today in these platforms? And these are common problems that we see day to day. It may be a fact that you've got information stored in the ACC or a BIM 360 platform and you want to migrate it to another platform. And you may own one and the contractor, the client may own the other. You may want to do this at the end of a design stage and migrate the design information into the construction BIM 360 document management system or the construction cloud, etc. Or it could be the fact that you just want to capture this information. Now, the information could come down and you may want it stored on a local server. You may want to archive it in a way that you can view all the data structured, but it doesn't want to be stored on a server. So you want a visible user interface to see this data so you can actually get to it and track all the information that's been captured during the job, but not keep the cost of a CDE live for the next 10 years, etc. Or it might be that you're using BIM 360 or the project is using BIM 360 or the construction cloud, and actually you want to bring it into other tools such as SharePoint or Procure or A-Site or Viewpoint or anything of the other products that are out there. Or that could be the complete opposite way around. You're working in a contractor's environment, which is one of the ones in the top right there, and you want to bring that down to BIM 360. So we've got all these different scenarios, and it could be a combination of any of these four as well. So we've got to look at how we migrate this data, but keep it so we can always view it, always receive it, and always capture the data and the reviews that we're doing. As I've said, 5 years ago, we probably had a huge focus on document management. We used to manage documents. We used to manage files, drawings, documents. Now we're looking at all sorts of other things. So we need to consider what information you need to get through. And it's great now that a lot of the tools on the market have started to open their APIs up, because that's allowed tools such as 360 Sync from Applied Software and Archive Hub from Matter Labs to be able to open the doors to get to this data and draw it through, so we can then get it stored where we want it to store for the lifetime that we need to for our insurance and indemnity, etc. So just think about what information you want to get out of documents, where you want it to store, and what systems you're going to use in the future. And this just gives you an example now of this is BIM 360, the construction cloud, which you may not be aware of, but the document management sits here in this little line here. That's the CDE, but that CDE is hosting models, drawings, documents, cost items, assets, as-built drawings, photos, videos, and all these different modules actually sit within that document management system. All this is invaluable data that we need to capture. This is evidence of how we've delivered that project as a contractor. This is evidence to the project team of how things were actually put together on that job. We're capturing evidence, we're capturing compliance, all that good stuff. We're capturing the issues that were eventually closed out on jobs. This is all evidence that we probably need to keep. It's that we need to start looking at how are we actually going to get these out of the system and store it in different places. So how can we help? Now, obviously, we've got the expertise for consulting to look at what you need to get out of the system and where you're going to store it. But this is why we've joined partnerships now with the likes of Matter Labs and Applied Software to see the best way to archive, store, move, whatever we want to do with all this great data management of the information that we're actually capturing. We need to think of those legal requirements. It's no use pushing it somewhere that's not going to live for the lifetime that we need to keep it for them insurance purposes. It's usually around 10 years on most jobs, so we need to consider that. Are you happy that all your data is stored in the cloud? Do we need to get it out of the cloud? So it's these questions that we can start helping you out with and put the best solution in place for you to get this information right. So if you look at something like Archive Hub from Matter Labs, you know, this is a download, a backup, an archive of your BIM 360 environment. Yeah, we can look at the flexibility, the continuity of that data and keep the connectivity of it. You know, we can store that in different places and view this on an interface. And it's also compliant with legal requirements as well. So you've got full traceability of everything that went on that's stored in BIM 360, and we can pull that through into a dashboard. It's an offline backup. Yeah, so we don't need to be in the cloud. We can offer this download from the system, which will show you in a minute what it pulls through, and we can actually view that data. You've still retained all that audit trail in there, and it's more than just files and folders. We're actually bringing through the project data, the people who were on it, the companies that were on it, the issues that were brought through, all the attachments and those relationships between all those good things. We can keep that retained. And the main thing is we've also got a desktop viewer, yeah, which sits in isolation. Yeah, you don't have to really install anything. It's just part of the download. And, you know, it preserves all your folder structure. It preserves the history of the files behind there. And, you know, it's literally a complete project download. So we're actually, within the system, we're capturing all your projects, the companies that worked on the projects, the users, the issues, the folder and its structure, all your documentation that's stored within the folders, the complete audit trails, the attachments, all your versions, and the important bit, your checklists, to show that you've actually gone through health and safety checks, commissioning checks, quality checks that may be important later on, if questioned, etc. So you can see this is a way that we can capture, and the transfer is pretty easy to do. You know, it's an archive of the system, so it's basically done offline and presented to you back to you. It could be an offline viewer to see that as well. It's all done through the Microsoft Azure cloud, through an EU data center, and basically once the transfer's happened, Matter Labs actually delete and wipe that customer data off that system after 14 days. Once we've got the audit in place and we're happy with all the data's come over. So the archiving is down to the cloud speed, really. You know, it's doing all the hard work for us. And quick video, this is the interface that you actually get presented with. So this is a sports arena project. You can see how many issues were raised. You can see the size of the project. You can start seeing the users. We had 4 companies on the job, how many checklists, how many files are on there. And it's structured in this little simple interface. So there's the companies, there's all your users. It's retained the roles, permissions, full document management system. As you can see, the folder system's retained with project files and plans. All the subfolders are still retained, and we can click through there. We can search on the data still. We can go into separate folders. We can view and open the PDFs and drawings and models and all that good stuff. So it's a way to actually access your data outside of the BIM 360 environment, but it's your data now. It's not owned by the client CDE. It's not owned by the contractor. You've captured it all with the comments and everything. So you can see here, all your attachments are coming through, any photographs, all your checklists are still preserved. You can still see throughout the checklist, this is a safety checklist. We can get through into the sections, the answers. So you can see there's 2 items in there in section 2. We can open this data still. All that information is retained. Yeah, it's not just a data dump. It's the intelligence that we need to go back to. So there we can see the answers to the questions that were applied, and we can open these, see the response, see the activity that's gone on site if we need it for later date. And we can even get down to capturing RFIs as well. So hopefully you can see that it's, you know, it's not just a complete dump of this data. We're actually giving you in a structured way completely separated from any other online solution in a way that you can get to the detail of this information. But you may want to store it cloud to cloud. Now, there are ways we can do this as well, because you may be changing common data environments. You may be changing supplier. As I say, you may be working with a client CD and you want a copy of it your own. You may want this synchronized. You know, we work many of the cases where the client insists you must use their CDE. The contractor says, well, I can't really because I want my supply chain to work in hours. So you start saying, well, okay, I want to start synchronizing certain areas of the contractor CDE to share it with the client. So you're solving both problems. So we can start looking then at integration across multiple platforms. Now this is where the likes of BIM 360 Sync 360 Sync comes in, and this is where, you know, applied software can help us look at integrating connections between multiple platforms. So you might be working on a site, but you might want to store it in Viewpoint. You might be on Viewpoint, but you want to store things in BIM 360. You might be in BIM 360, you want it pulled back to SharePoint. So there's other ways that we can look at this data to bring it across platform. And as I say, it's because all these companies now are willing to open their APIs and get us involved. So start looking at mitigating that risk. You want to take out that human error, not moving manual files around, because you can pick wrong versions, you can store them in the wrong place, you miss data. Let automation take over. Let scheduling come in and take over this way of syncing data between platforms. It may be a fact that you've got, like say, a client BIM 360 site and a contractor's 360 site. Just sync them across, but schedule it. This way, by automation, you're going to start seeing the management of time and tasks. It's going to start saving you money. And you'll see how easy it gets. And basically, once it's set up, we can start forgetting that it's actually happening in the background, because we know and we've got confidence that this is happening on a scheduled basis, and this data is being shared around. I mean, if you look at some of the stats from 360 Sync, you know, it can sync in every 30 minutes. Let's set it and forget it and take back your own time. But you can see they're moving millions of files. You know, it's 2 million syncs happening across 13,000 projects, and that was in 2020. So all these numbers have increased. So, you know, it's not something new out there. You know, applied software have really looked at this and got this working. So it's now showing less costly rework, that manual intervention. Your ROI is coming back because that person who had manually, that document manager, can actually be released for other things, doing the actual job rather than just manually moving data around. So you're going to end up with happier employees as well, because there's nothing more tedious than monitoring a site. Oh, that's new, and copying it to other places. It's just not the way that we work. So 360 Sync at the moment is syncing around 17 applications. And, you know, as you can see here, we first of all, we look at the connections. So the connections are key because this is how we get access into the system. So you can see there, we can pick BIM 360. You might want an old classic glue project synced up. So we can pick in there, glue, and give it a name so we know what it is. Once we've got that, we can start putting in your username and password. Now you'd need to be admin on this, but at least we can get access to it, and then give the company ID of where we want to connect into. That's it. No errors come up, you connected into that system. We can then go and add another connection, and that could be to anything: Bluebeam, A-Site, Procore, Viewpoint, whatever we need. And the important bit is just getting access. If you're on the project now, you will probably have access anyway. So on this example, I'm making 2 connections, both to Glue, but one's to Disney, one was to applied software. So 360 Sync is just logging you in and connecting you to these platforms initially. Okay, and we'll connect that. Once the connections are in place, yeah, and we've got access to the platforms, whoever owns it, you've got your username embedded, we then need to go into projects. Yeah, and what the projects are going to do is start making these connections, really, is really putting together. So a project then is what's happening. So we can give this a project name. Video to catch up. So we could give this a project name. Well, once you've got the project name, you can see what's the project we're trying to do. It's a file sync we're doing here. Yeah, so we're syncing this 360 project demo and we're hitting save. Now we have to look at the mapping. So you remember your connections? So we're now looking at entering those connections and mapping what we're trying to do. So we can pick whatever we need to. So we're picking BIM 360 to Procure. Yeah, what are we looking at there? We're looking at these connectors now. We're looking at syncing, and we're looking to sync these files that are sat in, and this could be transmittals folder. So you've got lots of documents sat in that transmittal folder. This might be a client requirement that actually the client's using Procure. So they want a copy of all your submittals that you're using in the Procure Excel construction site. And where do they want it put in? So you've got access to their system. Now here I can't find that, so I'm going to put it in the submittals folder. So you can see I've got BIM 360 project file submittals syncing to Procure 3sync testing submittals. And that's it. We've created the mapping, and we can keep doing this and creating things. So again, I might have RFIs. So I'm in the same data set, look in the project files area. We'll find the folder where RFIs are stored. So there we go on the left-hand side. And again, looking at Procure, we can then look in the folder system for the client's Procure system. We can look, oh, there's no RFI folder. So we can actually create a folder in that system as well. So we can create an RFI folder here, select create. Yeah, and when we hit save, it's going to pull and synchronize the documents from the BIM 360 site again, right the way through into the Procure site. So you can see how manipulative we can be. We can be at a folder level, we can be at a higher level and pick the subfolders up, etc. But we can start saving these. Once we've got these mappings saved, we can then start enabling them. And at the top of the screen, you've got your green, blue, and yellow. We can make it run once. We can change the settings, or the green button allows us to schedule it. So we might schedule this every 30 minutes. We might schedule it once a day, once a week, etc. And you can see these are my projects and what I've got actively running at any one time. So we've got full traceability of what's happening. We've got things that we set up and just let run without having to monitor it 24/7 a day and get manual intervention. Just set these connections up, set your mappings up, and then set it on a schedule and it will all work. You know, so we can see that we're not, you know, just looking at Autodesk products here. We're trying to look at, you know, by partnering with people, be able to look at these integrations. How can we get this data shared between these platforms? Another product that you may be aware of is Autodesk Construction Cloud Connect. And what Connect does is it basically links 200 platforms together, you know, but it's not as easy to set up, etc., as the likes of Matter Labs, which does it for you. Applied Software, we can got a simple interface which can manage easy. This is more detailed, so we can really get into some rule-based synchronization. So only copy a file if the file contains a certain naming convention, for example. And basically, by just having one license of ACC Connect, we can create 3 connections out of those 200. So you might say, I'll have BIM 360, SharePoint, and Google Drive. Or you might have 2 BIM 360 sites and a SharePoint site. And basically, you can connect information with one license across those 3 connectors. Once you've got the 3 connectors established, we then create these things called recipes. Now, there are recipes available to you directly out of the ACC Connect platform. They've been presented and created by other users, which are shared within the community. So if you can look through there, you can see there I've got a plan grid to plan grid. So that's going to upgrade all my plan grid information. This is plan grid to Google Drive. So it's BIM 360 and it's going to copy it to another BIM 360 site, plan grid, and Google Drive. So that's what that recipe does. And basically, you know, they can be as simple as this, or they can really get complex. So the first thing you need with these recipes is a trigger. So if any new or updated document is in a Bin 360 folder, action this. Now you can see here, this top thing, this is the trigger. That's the hub I'm in. This is the project I'm in. This is the folder that I want to monitor. And this is just when it starts. So I can look in this here. So I can monitor each project, each folder, and have a number of these recipes running in the background. We can look at the action. So the next one is, let's download the document from 360. Which document? So you're telling it here which document you're then downloading. So i.e. bring the document that was seen in step 1. In step 3, connect me to my SharePoint system, define which folder you want that in, define the file name that it's going to go, and at the end of the job, stop it. Okay, so we can get lots of detail here going through how we do. Again, we can schedule these. So this might run every 10 minutes and it's just continually checking for any updates. You know, so as you can see here, you know, this recipes. We can sort, filter. This is just some of the SharePoint ones. You know, so we're looking at Zoom meetings, putting your Zoom meeting into SharePoints. We're looking at all sorts of these 200 connectors, but it's not as easy as just going connect to connect. We have to sort of look at what we're doing, how we're doing, where we're connecting to, and how we're connecting to. So there's a little bit more intervention with ACC Connect, but it gives you a lot of flexibility. Also, I don't know whether you're aware, within the Autodesk Construction Cloud, a new feature has actually just been released as well, and that's called Bridge. So what this is allowing us to do is share information or sheets, drawings across projects. So in effect, what we can start to do is Bridge here, it's in beta, but it's released this week, is start looking at incoming and outgoing sheets. So I could share the whole of my induction package with another project. I don't have to upload it. I don't have to download it. I just share it with that project, and it will link basically the files together so you can actually see them. So here it is live. As you can see at the bottom where it says Bridge, I'm in build because we're using sheets to transfer. I go into my sheets area within the ACC build. I can select some of the drawings, documents, wherever I want to share, and select share. I've got 3 options now. I can share a live link with project members. I can share a link so external people can view it, or I can share it to another project. So within my hub, I can say, okay, I'm going to share it, for this example, a sample project, and I'm going to share it. So this is allowing us to capture things out of a project environment and maybe store it in a central hub that's got restricted access, say. So you're keeping a record of things. And then basically when you come out, you can see what you've shared, where you've shared it, etc. Because if I click the blue link now, that's going to take me to this environment to say, what packages have I got outgoing? Yeah, so I can see I've got this sample, it's connected to the sample package. I can then look at the incoming side. Have I got anything incoming that's shared with me? I haven't. Okay, but at least you can start tracking information this way. And this is just another way, you know, so really there's multiple problems, but we've now got multiple solutions. And I think what I'm saying here is don't struggle with this. Contact us. You know, we've got the partnerships in place now. Depending on what you want to do, we can help you. We can look at the best way to get you from an existing hub data connectivity to somewhere that you need to store it. And hopefully we've shown a few solutions today that will really start thinking, yeah, okay, I could use this, I could use that, but talk to us. You know, we can put you into touch with people as well that we can look exactly what you need to meet your requirements. How do you want to archive? How do you want to move this data? And how do you want it stored for future proofing? So hopefully that's give you an insight really into where Symmetry's thinking are, where certainly the construction team within Symmetry are thinking, and some of the conversations we're actually getting through on a day-to-day basis now, but with a true solution at the end of it that we've got confidence to share with our clients, and we've got confidence that the data is going to seamlessly be synchronized between the platforms of your choice. So with that, I will pass you back to Rich. It will close the session down.
We do have another webinar coming up on the 8th of September, which is introducing Oculo. So Oculo is an exciting piece of kit that we've just partnered up with Oculo. They are specialists in video capture on site. So the video capture allows you to effectively get a Google Street View type overview of what's going on your site and compare that with your model, so you can see how it should look, how it actually does look. It gives those who don't want to or don't need to travel to site remote access and video of how the construction is going. It also allows you to capture issues and things like that without necessarily having to visit site. So you can highlight those to your design teams and get those changes made. So it's quite an exciting piece of kit, and we'll be sort of demonstrating that further on the 8th of September.